environmental companies, plumbing and HVAC contractors, and we're going to be going through them and answering them live. If you have a question, again, drop it in the chat and we'll get to it. And we're going to get right into this live Q&A. So my team pulled these up. So let's start with the first one. All right, we are a $2 million HVAC contractor. What mix of ad channels should carry my lead volume in slow versus peak season? All right, this is a great question, especially right now we're going into the shoulder season and it's time to start planning for what ads you're actually going to be running and what makes the most sense. So here's a stack that we recommend doing in this order. Local service ads, Google local service ads, that's pay per lead. The beauty of this that you only pay if you get a lead. So Google LSA first always. Even if you don't have enough reviews and you're not being shown that often, set up Google local service ads because you could get leads from it and it's good to have. Number two, PPC, Google search ads. So right now, still 80% of people are going to Google for looking for a home service business. So we want to be in the top two spots, Google local service ads, Google search ads. With Google search ads in particular, it can be a black hole. You can just be spending money and not know your return on ad spend. You want to make sure that you drive it to a landing page, custom tracking form, custom tracking phone number, pull that data out, and then get your return on ad spend every single month so you can feel confident in what you're spending and you know what to pull up and pull down. Going into your shoulder season, if you are changing your HVAC, right, you're changing the services that you're offering, you want to make sure that you have corresponding ad campaigns to reflect the services that you're offering, and same thing with your budgets. Next, the third one is Yelp. So if you look at Google and you do a search in your area, there's Google local service ads, Google search ads, the map pack section, which is your Google business profile. Then you have your on-site SEO, which is website rankings. Usually in the top 5 is going to be Yelp, which is why if you're going to have a secondary ad platform, Yelp is the way to go. I know people think Yelp is a scam. Yelp is frustrating. All those things, I felt the exact same pain. I made videos about, we had a client that spent $9,000 a month on Yelp and they generated $115,000. So I know that it can be done. And I know that it can be frustrating. They always want you to spend more money. They hold your reviews hostage, blah, blah, blah. But that's the third one. Next, I would recommend below that is moving up the interest graph. What I mean by interest graph is people that have high intent, they go to Google, right? They need an HVAC contractor or a plumber, so they go directly to Google and find that person. Now, there are people that are not actively searching for that right now, but they may have searched for it and they didn't pick someone, or they don't even know that they need it. But when there's a freeze that's going on and they need the service, you are top of mind. So you move up the interest graph. So what I recommend is moving up to YouTube ads because you can tie in people's Google search to YouTube ads, and then meta ads above that, and then mailers. And then inside of that is home shows of some sort. Home shows are hard because it's only certain times that you do them and you pay money, you pay ads for them. But basically move up the interest graph to YouTube ads, meta ads, and then pull in the return on ad spend on those as well. But also know that it's going to be more of a branding play than an actual, like, driving leads directly to you. With meta ads, you can get cheap leads, but a lot of times they're price shoppers or tire kickers because they don't have the intent piece behind it. They were just scrolling and saw your thing and said, I wonder how much that will cost, or I'm curious to learn more. They're not people saying, who should I work with for this thing? So what mix should you have? You need to have your return on ad spend dialed in so that you know what's producing the best results for you. But that would be the hierarchy of ad spend that I would recommend for a business. All right. Next questions we have here. We're a $3 million HVAC and environmental company. What's the simplest return on ad spend dashboard I can use monthly to judge each channel and kill underperformers fast? Okay, great. This goes directly into what we're talking about, which is if you're going to spend ads, you need to make sure that you track this stuff. So let's pull this up and I'm just going to walk you through. So return on ad spend dashboards is a pain for most people. And I felt this exact pain because I was spending 3,000 on Google search ads, 2,000 on Yelp, 3,000 on Google LSAs, 5,000 on Angie. And I had all this mix and I had no idea what was performing or what wasn't. So I created a simple return on ad spend report and I built it into my system. So I'm going to give you a low tech way to do this and then I'll talk about the high tech ways. Low tech is this. Everyone that calls in, you ask them where they heard about you, and then you tag it in your CRM. That's one way. The second way is on these platforms, you have different promos. So on Yelp, you have a promo that's get $10 off a service if you mention Yelp. On Angie, you have a promo. You get $10 off your service if you mention Angie. This will prompt people to tell you how they found out about you, and it'll incentivize them to not just say, I Googled you and found you. That's the first thing. Then in your CRM, you tag these people accordingly. And at the end of the month, you run a report on the tags and you can see your return on ad spend. You spent $2,000 and you got 10 leads and you did this. Very simple way to do that and coach your CSRs and build that into your process. Now, a more high tech way to do this is put tracking numbers on these different places and have a whisper message. What that means is that when someone calls you from Yelp, it says to your CSR, this is a call from Yelp. So then they can answer the phone and say, hey, thanks so much for calling us. I see you're on Yelp. Or they don't have to say that. They just mark it in the CRM that they called from Yelp. All right. So whatever CRM you use, that's a very simple way to tag things and make sure that you have the correct return on ad spend reporting for you. Now, how can you find this data fast? Because what was happening with me was, okay, I'd run it one time. I run it at the end of the month. But as we know, things might close a month later. They might close a week later. It could have been yesterday the lead came in and it didn't close yet, and my data is not accurate because it's a one-time pull. So what I recommend doing is we built this custom tool with Jobber, but if you have a CRM like Service Titan or Jobber, you can build these out. Service Titan, you have a campaign summary report. What a campaign summary report is, you have all of your ad channels, then you have phone numbers attributed to those ad channels. And if it all lines up on your campaign summary report, it's very clear with your return on ad spend tracking. A lot of times when we meet with businesses, they don't have a clear campaign summary report, so they don't know what's working or not. So part of what we do is we come in and obviously clean it up, get the tracking numbers, get the campaign set up, make sure it's all working, and then track return on ad spend. And this gives you a live pool. It's not the one-time pool, it's a live pool. The second thing is with Jobber, we built this out with Jobber. We have an API that goes in and pulls the data out for whatever ad channels that we want, and it's all clean and dialed in. So there are other tools out there that can help you with this. It just, there's not a simple way to do it unless you use Service Titan campaign summaries or you work with a company that has APIs and things built in. Cool. I'm live here. So if you have questions, drop them in the chat. We're talking about this $3 million HVAC and environmental company, and we're going through some of their questions. So the next question that they had was, how many reviews per month do I need by market to defend rankings, and who owns the daily review request process? Okay. So this comes up a lot because reviews, you could get 100 reviews and just sit there, and then your competitor is going to continue to get more and more reviews, and then they're going to outrank you because they have more reviews than you. So how many reviews per month do I need to defend my market? It all depends on your market. So what I would recommend to do is go to Google, type in whatever service you do in your area, and then see your competitors. And then every month you could just do that same report and track, okay, this competitor had 100 reviews. Now they have 110. So they got 10 reviews. They're tracking at 10 reviews. So I need to make sure I get at least 15 or 20 reviews to beat them. And they have 100 reviews and I have 200. So I'm going to outpace them. This will give you a very clear thing. It takes 5 minutes to do on a monthly basis, and it'll give you a benchmark of where you're at. I'm sure there's SaaS tools that will do this for you, but if it takes you 5 minutes to do, or your CSR to do and give you the report, just have them do it. Who owns the daily review request process? This is very, very important. If you care about reviews and you want to track your reviews, you need to have someone who is the review person, who is constantly reminding the team to get reviews, and then on a daily basis is putting reviews on the board that says, hey, this is our review count here. And make sure that we, if there's like special promos, like, hey, this month we're doing this promo for our team. If you get the most reviews, then you get $100 gift card to Walmart in conjunction with whatever other incentive that you have. Someone who's constantly driving your reviews, very important. I would recommend the customer service manager for that, or a sales manager, because those two people are naturally going to be able to incentivize, and they're also going to be in the managerial role, so they can explain to people as well. All right. And then the last question this HVAC and environmental company had was, when should I change my offers? Okay. We talk about offers a lot on this channel, and I talk about building offers into your system. I actually just had a video come out on Tuesday about the 4 offers that every business should be creating. And it's actually based off this book right here, $100 million Money Models from Alex Hormozy. And I tied it specifically to home service businesses. And he has 4 different offers, and I go through and I break them all down. I'll give you the quick synopsis of it, is that he has these attraction offers, which is like, hey, get a free diagnostic of this thing. He has an upsell offer, he has a downsell offer, and he has a continuity offer. And the attraction offer, there's really cool ones that you can do, which I talk about in that video, like a giveaway, for example. Upsell, we all already do this as home service businesses, because you're going to go in and then you're going to upsell them something else, hopefully. Downsell, we usually do this too, which is like you could get this premium thing or you could get this thing. And then the continuity offer, most people miss. Continuity offer is if you sign up for this thing, then you get it reoccurring. Or did you know that we have this program? And most people, most home service businesses, aside from HVAC, don't really know how to do memberships. And the continuity offer breaks that all down in that video. I talk about it. But his question is, when should I change my offers? All right. So here's my recommendation on that is you should have those attraction offers rolling. So inside of your seasons, let's say it's fall, winter, spring, and summer, you should have new offers that you're trying out with different services that you want to push. You have your bread and butter offers, which could be, hey, you get a free diagnostic, or we have a discounted dispatch fee, or something like that. But have a bigger offer, which is when you buy this, then you get this thing free. Or if you buy this ahead of time, then you get this thing free. Or, for example, one that I talked about on the video was doing a big giveaway, which is a huge thing. Like, hey, give away something big and see how many leads you get, and it's going to cut your lead cost in half if you do it right. So when should I change my offers? I would do them on a seasonal basis. If you see one that gets more leads than the other, then obviously you just use that again next year or figure out how you can incorporate that in your next offer. But a quarterly review is really, really good. And you could even have like an offer calendar. You could have like we have a content calendar for our clients every single month. And then next to it, we have all the offers that we want to go through because you could change it every single month based off of what you want to cross sell. All right, cool. I'm live, so if you have questions, you can drop them in the chat if you're curious about something about your business. I'm here to add value. So whatever question that you might be asking about how to grow your home service business, marketing questions, going into shoulder season, maybe you're going to quarter 4 and you're trying to do something, drop it in the chat. I'm down to help you. All right, our team pulled some more of these. Let's see. We're a $7 million HVAC and plumbing company. How do I decide between an AI receptionist versus a human answering service when I run multiple trades and need the right tech booked? Okay, this is a good question. So you have multiple trades. You think that an AI receptionist or a human and they need to do different things. What I would recommend is finding a company that has AI answering service, whether it's built into their tool like a Jobber or Service Titan or something, or an external tool like um, ZyraTalk is one or SameDay.ai. There's probably a handful of these for home service businesses. They've been on my podcast, but basically find these companies and figure out the best workflow for your business because there's like your $7 million, are you three and a half HVAC and plumbing, or are you 6 million HVAC and 1 million plumbing and you have one plumbing tech and you want to make sure that you have your route density correct for these different things? I can almost guarantee you that these AI platforms are going to have capacity planning built into them, specifically like with Service Titan, where it's like, okay, this guy can only do this much and I only have one tech and this one can do 6 techs. So you need to figure out how you're going to build that out into your process based off of what you do with capacity planning inside of your dispatch board. All right, what's the simplest lead nurture cadence? Text emails, 5-day mix to rescue web forms we don't reach on the first call. All right, so they're HVAC and plumbing. So probably if they're getting web forms that come through, it's probably going to be like, hey, I have no heat, or hey, I have a leak in my house. So they need to get on it very, very quickly. And if it's a lead that comes through, and how do they rescue them when they don't reach out on the first call? It's this. When they send a form in, you need to text and email them right away. You need to text them and ask them, is this an emergency? If so, call our emergency line. If it's not an emergency, send us a picture and tell us more about the thing. Very, very quick way to move the ball forward and get them to either emergency line or send us a picture with more information. That way, when you call them, they don't answer, which is your question here. You have a text thread that's already built out that you can communicate with, and do this exact same thing via email as well. It's very important that you have a game plan for the 3 communication channels: text, email, call. A lot of people just default to call, they don't answer, and then it's gone forever. With your business, HVAC and plumbing, you mentioned here in your question about 5 days max. I would definitely recommend in the first 3 days hitting it pretty hard because this is going to be a very demand driven service. It's not like I'm thinking about getting my gutters clean. I'm thinking about remodeling my basement. I'm thinking about this. It's like I have no heat or whatever. So you need to hit it pretty hard over the first 2 or 3 days because they're not going to sit around with no heat, or they're not going to sit around with a leak in their house. They need to get it done. You could also have a cadence based off of the different service. So if it's bigger ticket, right? Like Well, hot water heater, did your hot water heater go out, or are you just planning ahead? So it all depends on the service that they're requesting and how much of a demand that it is that happens right now. But for you, I wouldn't go longer than like 14 days max of your lead nurture process because you got to hit these people pretty hard. All right. Let's see. How do I connect requests to quotes in my CRM so conversion isn't underreported with my team creates new jobs manually? All right. So this is something that I faced a lot of that we do as a company, but I had my digital marketing company out here. I had my CRM over here and I had automations over here and they weren't talking. So it was all manual. Like my CSR would have to go in and manually add it to my CRM. And then everything wasn't working together. And I had to do all these things manually whenever a lead came in. So what I would recommend to you is you need to use Zapier or find some forms and things that integrate with your CRM. So we use Zapier, we work with House Call Pro, Jobber, Service Titan, and you can build things in Zapier to make all of that work. So that way a request comes in, gets dropped into your CRM, whether it's on your booking screen or request screen or whatever it looks like. And then you have a process for nurturing that lead and it speeds up the process. So you can just get a bunch of leads and they all come in and then you pick it up from there. Um, Real quick, I'm live here. So if you have questions about growing your home service business or marketing stuff or anything about going into quarter 4 or shoulder season, you can drop a comment and it'll pop in here. And I'd love to be a resource for you. All right. So the last question that they have here, this is a $7 million HVAC and plumbing company. Should residential and commercial lists get different newsletter cadences and themes? And how do I prevent overlap or fatigue? All right. There's a couple questions in here that I'm going to pull out. So we work with a bunch of different companies. One in particular that sticks out is this it's a moving company, Town and Country Movers. Their bread and butter is with realtors, so commercial realtors. It's a commercial newsletter. Obviously, if you do moving, you don't need to do moving every single month. So you don't need to get email every single month about moving and storage. So with them, we send out an email, which is a monthly email that goes out, and it goes out to all of their realtor partners. The beauty of this is that we're staying top of mind with their referral partners monthly. And the way that we track how frequently you should send it or the cadence without fatigue is we track the open rates. If the open rates fall off and people are not opening or clicking on it, okay, well, maybe we need to slow it up and go down to quarterly. But if it's opening like theirs, like 40, 50%, okay, well, there's fine. We can do this monthly. We can even do one offs throughout the month. So, what you want to do is one, you want to have two different emails, a residential and a commercial. The residential one is going to be like, hey, you need to get a new roof. Right now is the perfect time to get your gutters cleaned because the leaves are falling. Right now, we're doing our fall inspections, whatever that sounds like. For your commercial people, it could be more about a referral. Hey, while you're out at your client's house, make sure that you're looking at this. Or hey, while you're at your client's house, if it's this, then you should do this and recommend us. Or hey, in your commercial property, here's what you should be doing. It needs to be two separate messages because it's two separate messages to those people and how they interact with your business. What we recommend doing if you have a residential arm and then you're going to layer in a B2B or commercial arm is this game plan. Your residential, every single month, have a content calendar. Your commercial start out quarterly. Quarterly allows you to get into their inbox but not be spammy while also seeing what your open rates are in your interactions, and then move to monthly if you feel like, wow, this is really good. If you don't have a lot to say, just do quarterly. If it's like every single month we could be talking to these people and educating them or asking them to send us referrals for different things, then do it monthly and you'll see your open rates. If your open rate's below 20%, move it out. If your open rate's over 20%, continue to do it. That's the cadence. One piece to this question that he mentions is how do you prevent overlap? I wouldn't really worry too much about overlap because obviously they interact with you in two different ways. But overlap is it's not that big of a deal because people don't remember right what they see. I post tons and tons of content online and people don't even know my name after they've seen like 7 different things that I've ever posted or they don't even remember what I shared last week, let alone seeing something new. So I wouldn't worry about overlap. A lot of times businesses and people in general think that, oh, I've already said this before, or I've already sent this out. So I don't want to send it again because people are going to remember. They're not going to remember. They have no idea. All they know is that you're adding value and you're staying top of mind. All right, so that's the questions that we got here. If you have a question, drop a comment below. You can also go to flashconsulting.com/question. We're doing this every single week, Q&A, answering questions. Happy to be a resource. Couple things coming up for us. So I'm actually going back out in October. Well, it is October 3rd. I'm going back out October 20 something to Las Vegas, and I'm going to be doing podcasts with Jobber on Masters of Home Service, and I'm really excited for that. So if you have thoughts on different topics or things that you want me to talk about with Jobber, I'm pretty sure we're going to talk about AI, automation, marketing, sales, technology. But curious to get your thoughts. Feel free to comment on any of my posts about that. We got a big thing coming up in November. I'm not going to say too much about it, but it's really, really, it's. I've never seen any other digital marketing company for home service businesses do this, which is how big it is. And we have a webinar coming up. We're going to be talking about giveaways. I talked a little bit about it today, but we're going to talk about how to set up giveaways for your business and how to make sure that your home service business can run a giveaway, the numbers behind it. And we're actually going to give away a lot of the tools and resources for running giveaways, like how you should set it up, how you should say what you should say, what you should do in your emails, how you should structure it, how you can get the most lift. So one of the big things with giveaways for home service businesses is that since it is such a local feel, let's say like we had a client that gave away a new HVAC unit. That new HVAC unit that they gave away, we said, hey, you need to go and reach out to the news stations and have them get a part of this as well, because they're going to feature you that you're giving away a unit to someone in need in the local area. And now you create this flywheel of like, you did something cool, you got a bunch of leads, and then you also leverage the local media to share that stuff. So we got that coming up. We got some other cool stuff. So if you're not in our newsletter, we drop a lot of things in the newsletter. You can go to flashconsulting.com/join. But we have something really cool that's coming out probably in the next week or two. I don't want to say too much about it, but we'll talk about it in the newsletter. So you can go there and get that. Cool. Well, thanks so much for joining me on this live. Hope that you found some value in it, and I'll see you in some more content coming up.